Spent a lot of time on trees and prairie restoration, but there's a ton of opportunities, whether it be in communities with tree canopy infrastructure, other areas throughout, rural areas, diversifying our tree inventory, because at some point a decision was made to plant mostly ash, especially in cities, and we now know that's going to be a dramatic change when EAB gets all the way up here. So making sure we don't repeat those kind of mistakes. And then opportunities for prairie restoration and pollinator habitat is those opportunities abound. And doing those strategically, like trees and grasses don't get along, so we got to know where they belong and plant them in the right places. We also got into how green infrastructure supports ecotourism, how important that is. We talked about the Pine to Prairie Birding Trail and all the opportunities that exist there. And then number one, improving or at least maintaining that asset, which also includes the Red Lake River, the Red River, and all the other tributaries in the region that are used for recreation, and making sure that we're always looking through the lens of preserving and improving those areas, the water quality and the natural habitat, improving those at all times. Yeah, we didn't get in really to sustainable golf course stuff, because I don't know if that is possible. Access to water, lakes, talk about prairie chickens, because it's timely. Right now they're booming, and it's a good time to go watch them, so putting in my plug, get out to Glacial Ridge. If you get a chance, reserve your blind. So that's what we talked about in terms of green infrastructure. Tied it also to why do people live here? Why do they stay here? Or why do people, that come and visit, perhaps, in the tourism piece, decide, hey, this would be a great place for me if my work arrangements are flexible. I want to live where 4 different biomes converge. It's the only place, I think, in North America where that happens. And it's right here. We're basically sitting right on that hot spot right now here in Erskine. So recognizing those things and capitalizing them. So that was the green infrastructure conversation. Moving into transportation. We got a lot going on here. Let's see. I'll do this in reverse the way we talked about it, but we talked about what gets in the way of transit in our region. We're spread out. We're so geographically spread out that it financially never makes really any sense to, especially in the rural areas. So it's going to be a big loss to run a model like that in the first place. Tri-Valley does a wonderful job of that. Of course, we know that. But there's still gaps. And we try to fill that with volunteerism, and we really drill down on where there's holes there. I think the reimbursement is 14 cents for a volunteer, 14 cents per mile. That doesn't pay for anything. And if they exceed $600 in a year, now they're an independent contractor and they have to file taxes and stuff. There's a bunch of stuff broken with that, and that led into a conversation about volunteerism in general, how it's just changed since COVID. And we've just lost the entire group that's led our volunteer efforts for many, many years. And maybe it'll never go back exactly how it was, but we need to take away some of these barriers like the reimbursement and other stuff to have a chance. Because there's still folks doing it out of the goodness of their heart. There's no doubt, but the capacity isn't completely there. Then the other thing we got into some more active transportation stuff. Tim and I talked about. We got into public spaces that they're not always public or accessible by the public. These are public spaces, but you can't go to them. And that's another policy thing that we need to look at, because there's some great areas that we really, people either don't know about or they're not really allowed to be there, and that's not okay. Now, you bring a bunch of people to those natural areas, we want to make sure we're not having negative impacts as well. So there's got to be things in place to make sure that we preserve those areas, but let's capitalize on that.
Any more?
Yeah, quickly, we talked about how we design things. Where are schools now? Consolidation, the school is out on the edge of town or between towns, so they're not bike. There was just a few people here that were at a bike school day, right? It can happen in larger communities. But even there, it used to be elementaries in every neighborhood, right? Small kids could walk. Now it's even internally in bigger cities, they're consolidated. And Winnemac, I mean, it's one school for several communities. So being able to bike or walk to school isn't really even an option, and we've created that situation. Some out of necessity, economically we had to, but it's done some serious damage to communities. So I'm going to stop because I don't want to go over my allotted time.
Thank you. You're welcome, Shannon, right?